Today, smoking a cigar and understanding SPX6900 as a normie. Welcome back to my little corner, by the way. I got a stylist, obviously. I promised I got more than one shirt. And my stylist said, wear a dangling earring and it'll increase watch time because people keep staring at it. Algorithm will share it. Eventually that view trickles into music stuff and I'll be famous and rich. And get all the treasures. But it is, you can't really tell, but it's already a bit toasty here. It's supposed to get to the hundreds later on. So I'm out here around 12. It's like 11:40 something, but it is what it is. We'll be smoking a JR Hampton. Boom. Makeup girly shit. Autofocus. Yeah, this is what it looks like. This is the JR Hampton Court. It is their version to mimic, I believe, the original, I can't pronounce it, Malcana, whatever. The ring size is 42, and I believe it's from Honduras. Now, that's what it says as origin. I don't know if it's a leaf, I don't know. Paid about 50 buckaroos for this. I'm rich, it's nothing to me. The price fluctuates once in a while, so I think I got a pretty sweet deal on it. Last I checked, it was out. But let's do a little smell test. I'm gonna be straight up. It kind of smells like cow manure. But I could also describe it as dark roast and a little bit of spice with a hint of leather. So pretentious, but I'm not gonna shit on it too much because I do like a little buzz, and cigar gives you that kind of slow body, consistent buzz. So that is what we're smoking on. That's what it looks like. Cool. And I'll be using my pocket knife as a cutter. I don't have a cutter. And using my lighter. Some people will frown upon that because the lighter smell and taste, they think it kind of ruins it, which there probably is some truth to it. But yeah. Let's get started. Boom. Proper YouTube style. Get a little close up. Can you see it? There you go. I'm just gonna kind of circle around it like so. And barely applying pressure because it'll eventually just pop off like that. There you go. Boom. Get a nice clean cut. Not too bad. The dry taste, it kind of has like a, if you probably haven't, but there's like these Tibetan medicine balls that they hand rub with a bunch of like herbal things, and it has a very bitter taste. That's exactly what it tastes like. I'm not even joking with you. Again, it's pretty toasty out here, but it's supposed to get hotter later. But the whole topic, I got screenwriters, teams on top of teams. You know, we got a high budget show. And our team is team do stuff. You know, we just do stuff. We're basically going to be talking about just understanding SPX6900 as a normal person. Because I'm not really a crypto native by any means. I haven't used any of the tech or so-called protocols or whatever it is. I just literally just whatever bit of cash I can get my hands on. Crack in. Buy SPX6900, little gold coins, chuck it to cold storage, jeez. And that's literally what I do. But even though I've kind of, I guess, more so ingrained myself in it, I want to take this time to kind of meditate together and just really like look at it from like a fresh perspective, because I could be in my own bubble. I could be my own personal particular, you know, attractions or things that I'm into, maybe. So we'll really just try to kind of enjoy this cigar and explore that topic. So one last final shot of the cigar before I burn it up. And the other day I went to the gas station and got this. I've upgraded from my crackhead lighter. 3 buckaroos, super rich. So we'll just kind of toast it and yeah, I'll try to get some of that in the shot. Jeez, the wind is pretty Try to cover it a little bit. There we go. I do have a Coke right down there, which honestly, bro, like, I think I'll need it. Need some sugar in my tank, if you will. Some high budget shit, man. Fuck, that is hot. All right, I'm gonna actually try to like light this up and smoke it. You see what I do for the shot, for the gram? The wind. But yeah, SPX6900, even though I've been in it for almost like 2 years now, it's been around for 3. And what I find fascinating is like, just kind of trying to look at it from a fresh set of eyes. I think we got it going. Just torch it up a little bit more. There we go. And even when you hear the name, like, just looking at it from like a person who's never seen it, again, I'm not a crypto native, right? There are people that really know about this stuff, but you just kind of hear the name and it might kind of confuse you right away. But seeing as if you clicked on this video, you probably care. But the truth is, vast majority of the people, by the way, this has a nice taste. The vast majority of people just don't give a fuck, right? The average Joe kind of wants the bar, you know, the pub, chasing girls or sports betting or whatever it is, and they kind of, you know, have this idea like, if it's out of my control, there's nothing we can do. Inflation's up, but there's not much I can do. Just, I'll control what I can control, kind of thing. And that's why I think SPX6900 is like uniquely positioned. And I think we're extremely early to this. And even if you kind of look at it from just like the name itself, it's kind of critiquing, kind of poking fun at the fact that, you know, you hear the news every day. It's like, by the way, I'm just a retarded songwriter, but these are my takes. But when you hear shit like, stock is up, don't you know? Economy is good. And you're like, bro, we can't even afford a rent. When just about 50 years ago, with one salary, you could support a family, you could support yourself, obviously, but you could also afford to go on vacations and put kids through college. Like, it's insane that now you can barely afford your own living, and most times you'll need to have your own roommates to just even afford that. But for the most part, the average Joe, they really just don't care, right? And so is it our job to make them care? I think to some aspect, people will just join when they join, kind of thing. But part of the reason why I make these videos is because if you do care, let's explore the topic. While I was walking here, there's a deer, a mother and a baby deer. These are things that thoughts can't really reason, but your intuition just overrides everything. I quickly saw the baby, and it was a tiny baby, about like literally cute as a Bambi, about like this size, just softly kind of dart in the other direction. And as I was getting close, the mom was looking at me, concerned look, and she darts the opposite way. She darts about like 10 feet that way. And then I look again, and she's still looking at me, seeing like, am I going in her baby's direction? She's trying to save her baby, misdirect the attention. Like, it's so cute, man. But the average Joe, it's like, look, man, I'm just gonna gamble a little bit of the money that I have. Fuck all, man. Whatever, I'll just figure it out, so to speak. And if you're lucky and you have more than the average, you come across ideas like, the book Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, which I think, is the idea of Warren Buffett, not the person, but just the idea. When you think of Warren Buffett, you think like, okay, value investing. Put a little bit in the S&P, put a little bit into what you can measure, and then just kind of hope that time takes care of the rest. And 50 years ago, you could have done that and you would have been incredibly successful, but now everything has been pumped to such an insane level that you just kind of wonder, like, okay, a broke singer-songwriter, a guy who's just working at a cashier, like average guys, like, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to, is everybody meant to be an entrepreneur? Like, let's really look at SPX as like fresh perspective, fresh eyes. You see it sort of like a vehicle to not just do something incredibly simple, but yet profound. Because if you actually think in a selfish way, it's really selfish to gamble. It is actually very selfish to trade. It is very selfish to think that you could figure the market out. And in some ways, it's selfless to just buy and do nothing. And it sounds similar to value investing, but then you think of companies like Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, these giant corporations, and you think like, are these companies really valued by what they have? Or is it that the undercurrent is something so simple, which is an idea? And those are the kind of things that I guess, if you were looking at this with fresh eyes, you kind of have to consider, while we enjoy this nice cigar. A little bit of a bite afterwards, like kind of like spicy almost. But those are the kind of things you kind of have to consider, It's like, why do you buy a Tesla? Do you really care about green environment? Do you really care about the environment in a sense like, oh, like this is why I'm doing it? Or is it status to show that you have wealth? Because Tesla, the car, it's a symbol. It's a status symbol. Why do people get Harley Davidson tattoos? Why do people get the Mac logo and they want to show the logo off, Sure, there's some real truth to the company and what it stands for, but you're also believing in something. And you could even extrapolate this to different, areas, like a musician, right? Because that's just what I'm interested in. Like a guy like Kanye, right? Why does he have such a cult following? Well, if you were a Kanye fan when everybody was hating on him and now he's kind of going through his redemption arc, you went through the whole ride and you feel yourself redeemed as well. So you're kind of living through him, but you're also betting on yourself. You're saying, this guy's crazy, I'm crazy, we like crazy shit. It's not necessarily even for the music itself. And that's what we're trying to get to, is like the old idea of value investing based off of what it creates, the margins and blah, 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 shit that I can't understand because I'm a retard. Those are not the things that you can look at SPX with. And in fact, you have to kind of get rid of all that, because calling SPX6900 just a meme coin, yes, it is just a meme coin, but you have to kind of consider how rare it is. And it's not an exaggeration, like literally 99% of all meme coins nuke to zero. And so the fact that it survived for 3 years, multiple 80% drops, the chart doesn't exist, obviously. I'm Asian, I can't see. But seriously though, the fact that it survived, it should tell you something. That there's something about these coins, the message, the tenet, like peaceful life over greed, like stop trading and believe in something, persist forever. These are things that are so sticky that it makes it so rare, especially in a space where, like I said, everyone is thinking about the self. Like, I'm a great trader, I could do this, and that, you know? The fact that out of all the bundled coins, out of all the coins that have been, you know, deployed, so to speak, inherently, the coin itself on its own has no value. It's just a coin, it's just probably a code, and it doesn't really mean much. But it is the people. And the reason why we kind of consider the fact that it survived is this idea of Lindy effect. And if it survives long enough, eventually it gets to a point where it thrives. And that's why I'm saying that we are incredibly early to this, because not only will SPX survive, but I think it will thrive and it will do amazing. But again, I'm just a retard, enjoying a little cigar, and we'll ash this out. Sounding German, and we'll ash this out. Crack open a Coca-Cola, yes sir, and get a little bit of sugar. I do love a good sweat though. I'm not complaining about the heat. But when it's humid and hot, and it's like, come on, man, you're just hitting me with too much at once. So kind of looking, I'm gonna ash this out. Kind of looking at SPX with fresh eyes, it's like, okay, I don't really care about the anime stuff, maybe, you know? I don't really care about the name, like whatever, SPX6900 is what it is. But it is a critique of a broken system. And like what we said originally, like the average Joe doesn't care because they kind of feel like they don't have anything for them, right? And that's why I think uniquely, SPX is in a position where it provides that vehicle. What do I mean by that? Is that you can literally buy SPX and just live your life and just continue with what you want to continue. Obviously, you don't want to put so much that eventually destroys your life, but know that the volatility is a gift, you know? The same reason that it goes down so much is the same reason it'll go up. But the difference is that you see how it's bubbling. It's weird, it's creepy, it's hard to understand. That's how you know there's something genuine there. And I'm getting that little bit of a buzz. It's nice. And you know what I find interesting? Look, I got that shirt on. Maybe I'm just shilling it, right? That's understandable. And honestly, you should be skeptical. You should be really skeptical and then come to truth. Because that's the only way. Don't just take what I'm saying. If you want to check out all of these things that I'm saying, right under the video, literally where the border ends, first link, I'll put the SPX site. Check the bubble maps. Check who has how many percentages, so you know that it's not just gonna rug on you. Check everything. But the thing that kind of fascinates me is because, you know, I'm really into J. Krishnamurti and the dialogues of David Bohm. Whether you like what he says or not, that doesn't matter. What I find interesting is that in the 70s and the 80s, in the 70s and the 80s, these guys were really concerned with things like this. And by the way, I think these are just branches of the same tree. Voting with your money, the right way of living, morality, peace, you know, like the whole peace movement. And I can't help but shake this feeling like, and I don't want to be kind of shitting on it, but like, yo, like, that's a luxury. You know, to Gen Z, that thought is even a luxury, because you can't even imagine that, because it's so overwhelming. The pressure, the fact that inflation rises and the wage doesn't rise with it, The fact that nobody can own homes, everybody's renting. And if you're buying something, you're doing the monthly payment shit with Klarna or Clairvo or whatever K-sounding company out there. And it's like, you won't own anything. You'll rent until you die. But it wasn't always like that. And it's fascinating that these people, they were really concerned with the right way of earning a living. You know, even a teacher, by the way, I'm loving this way. Even the teacher who's got a respectable position, we're asking stuff like, I don't really feel right with what I'm teaching, but I gotta do it for my job so I can earn a living. It's like, that is a luxury now. In fact, it's kind of skewed to the opposite way. It's like Gen Z is hyper-focused on scamming, hyper-focused on gambling, hyper-focused on doing all the degenerate shit, right? And that's just a sign of the times. Really nice taste. One time I accidentally, I just did it now, wow. One time I accidentally let it go through my nose and I was like, jeez. You know those, I don't know if it's called ayahuasca, it's like this like tobacco that's kind of like, you hallucinate with. You put something to your nose and the guy goes, and you hallucinate, like full on trip. That's kind of, I guess, similar to how it felt. But these guys are really concerned with stuff like that. And, you know, it is an absolute luxury. But what I think is special about SPX is that on surface, it is just that. It's just a meme coin. But on the deeper levels, it's basically saying we're playing our own game. A bunch of people who has seen how broken it is, instead of just going to the pub, instead of just fucking about, are like, you know what? Let's get together in this and literally gather all our resources, all our human energy, because essentially that's what money is. It's your human energy that you're spending to get this thing. But the thing that you're getting, which is paper money, they just outprint it. So eventually the thing that you're getting is worth less than how much energy you're spending to get it. In fact, you have to spend way more energy to get the same amount that someone 50, 60 years ago would have gotten. But one SPX is one SPX. And if enough people see this, I think it'll hit some kind of a tipping point that the book Malcolm Gladwell talked about. And eventually it'll just go parabolic. And then unfortunately, that's when the people that don't give a fuck, that are partying or doing whatever, all of a sudden they'll care. Because the self that is constantly focused on the self cares when there's FOMO. But when there's a quiet rumbling, you know, it's a lower energy that you feel. And that's when you should go into something, you know? And I think it's so fascinating that, you know, stop trading and believe in something. Yes, it helps personally, but it's also something really selfless to kind of be like, you know what? There's something special brewing. I'm going to put my human energy into it. And I'm literally just going to have faith. You're not just kind of saying, okay, I'm going to have faith and do nothing. You got to be proactive. But there's something really special about that. And I think you have to see it as that. Because, you know, cynicism is cool, but you have to keep your skepticism on a leash. Because it's also a sign of the times that everyone's super cynical. It's like sometimes you just kind of allow yourself to feel the love. And for the lack of a better word, you know, SPX6900, there's genuine love and care in there. You're gonna see crazy people, you're gonna see people arguing. Oh, so you feel like this? Cool, say it. You feel like this? Cool, say it. But at the end of the day, you care. And when you care about something deeply, naturally you want to protect it. And to me, SPX6900 is a byproduct of this environment. And I think it's in position to not just take over, but thrive. And it's really interesting to me. Because like the tenets of Christianity, if you just live by it as a principle for life, you live a good life. The same way with SPX, it's like, stop trading, believe in something, don't gamble, don't do that shit. Think long term, persist forever. Peaceful life over greed. You know, these are just things that are timeless. Let me ash this out. So as a normal person, you know, in life, what are you supposed to do? Is everyone supposed to be a content creator? Is everyone supposed to be an entrepreneur? You know, about 1%, if that, succeed. And to succeed, it means 20 years of your life investing all your energy, funds, and maybe you get this one moment of, you know, kumbaya, and you get your big exit. That's not for everybody. But building a business isn't for everybody either. So SPX may not be the craziest investment, the most cutting edge tech, you know, but it also may not be the most normie friendly, whatever that means, right? But it sits in a perfect position where it's for everybody. And so you hear stuff, stock market's up, economy's great, life's great, you know? But the average individual is like, shit, you don't know. Fucking gas is up, egg prices are up. And every single time I have less and less that I can spend on myself, it's like, when you have little to spend, what do you naturally do? You buy weed, you buy drinks, cigarette, whatever it is. You buy shit that is gonna give you immediate satisfaction, so you can't be long-termist. And in a weird way, that's why that saying goes around, right? That rich become richer kind of thing. Which, it's like, yeah, because they got there because they were long-termists. They got there because they were crazy and worked insanely hard, and some shit took off, and then, yeah. And in that environment where you may have a little bit of cash sitting around, and you don't want to do that, buying the S&P 500 at crazy valuations and getting a 2%, 5% return, obviously that's not enough. That's why you see the rise in gambling. That's why you see the rise in these offshore, onshore casino, whatever things. That's why that exists. Because it's obviously not enough. Whether we can say it or show it on a data, even though humans are not just extensions of numbers on a screen, the data is there. Depression levels, young girls with problems with social media, with just literally everyone gambling. So you might say, well, you know, SPX, bro, that's a gamble. That's a risk. Sure. But the bigger risk is not having it than Jeez, you get what I'm saying. Again, just a retard. Smoking a cigar. Oof, getting a breeze. Think. I needed it. I promise I have more than this shirt, man. Get a little more Coke in here. But if you're here, you care. You and I care, but the vast majority of people don't care. And the fact that you care, it means not only are you thinking long term, but it's actually a very selfless act. And I find it fascinating too that, something about SPX, apart from everything we just talked about, it just seems like the perfect message for the time. And that alone is enough to dip your feet in. Because to the right people, you don't have to yell at them. To the right people, you don't have to convince them. You don't have to show them all these data points in a PowerPoint. Say, look, this is why, this is why, this is why. You gonna buy? You don't have to do that. You just gotta be like, look into it. Give it a little nod. And they're in. But unfortunately, a lot of people will not listen until it's too late. Because the safety of crowds is a real thing. If you were trying to survive and you said, I'm gonna do something that nobody else has done, your brain alerts you. You're gonna kill yourself, because that's what it really meant. But now that may be something simple as just believing in SPX6900. The message, seeing for what it is. And if you're concerned with the right way of living, right way of earning a living, what's more pure than this? Betting on yourself, holding some coins, and then working towards it. It's the purest. You're not gambling. You're not saying that I'll be a trader, whatever that means. And I think that's what's special about SPX. Because even if you look at it without any background of thought, just see it for what it is. It's just a bunch of coins with a label that were deployed. Right away, it caught attention of crazy people, like schizo, autists, whatever you may want to say. People that were like, there's something about this. Maybe that they themselves were gambling. Who knows? Life is ironic. And they were like, you know what, there's something about this. Fuck it, I shouldn't just keep holding this, but I'm just gonna. And then eventually, the coin survives for a year. And then some people get off the train and say, you know what, I don't believe in this shit. Life's gonna be bad. You just kind of have to extract your way towards financial freedom. There's nothing you can say or create, nothing you can do, There's this idea that everything has been said and that a monkey theoretically keeps typing, it'll type out a Shakespeare. Or you can say, no, it's really unique that you're alive. And in fact, there will never be another one like you that leaves an impression on this world. And enough people that were crazy enough stayed in the coin for 2 years, and it has still survived. And now it's coming on 3. What about 4 or 5, 6, 7? 6, 7. The retards will inherit the earth. It's a nice day outside. Nice little smoke. Very nice. And it's fascinating that, when you look at SPX, you kind of might initially look at it as a quick trade, I'd say, there's enough crazy people that believe in it, but if I get some, and then when it 2x's, 3x's, and I sell some, I'll be up. I can just run away with it. You can. It's a free market. Do whatever. That's how the coin itself originated. Literally, in the free market, anybody could have bought. A bunch of coins got deployed. Early people that were crazy enough to believe in it, eventually, through every dip, the people that don't believe sell off, and it just concentrates into people that really believe in it. So you must have been crazy if you bought Bitcoin at 500 or 700 when people saw it at $50 and they're like, he's buying the top, you're buying the top, brother. And then it dips to whatever it dips to. But if you look at it now, that looks like a genius trade, right? Trade. But it's not a trade. It's believing in yourself. It's believing in your intuition. It's believing in what you know to be true. That even though life inherently may be a battle, and even though I'm sitting here, standing, recording this, there's life and death happening all around me. Animals are gonna die. I'm not gonna notice. They're gonna decompose into the earth. Everything is kind of fighting each other to survive. But you know one thing to be true, that life, in grand scheme, is gonna persist forever. And as far as this broken system continues to persist forever, there will be a message that persists forever. So you don't have to believe in SPX. Just buy Bitcoin if that's what you want. But what's interesting to me is that all of these are reflections of each other. In the 2008 housing crash, due to printing, Satoshi came out with Bitcoin and said, you know what? We need to control the supply. And it came as a reaction to that. GameStop was a reaction, again, to the suits that were trying to kill a beloved company that, I used to play Modern Warfare 2, Red Dead Redemption. You would go to GameStop and buy the disc. And if you wanted to buy the console, you get the console and the disc. But now the new PlayStation is like however many dollars and you don't even get a disc. And we just kind of chalk it up to inflation, saying, that's what it is. But that's what these things are a reaction to. You can look at Dogecoin, like what is the inherent value of Dogecoin? It's just a bunch of tokens with the dog face. Does that really resonate with anybody? Think about it. On a first principle basis, it's just a coin. And that's what SPX is. Except having the taste to realize the message of itself, what it stands on, and the fact that it survived. That should be a clue that something big brewing. But I don't know. I'm just a retard in the woods. Let's get another sip of the Coke, as I'm definitely losing some fluids. It's been like 100 degrees in Maryland. Fuck that. But the way I see it is poor man's sauna. I actually love sweating. And I'm surprised of that because before summer I was like, dude, I'm not looking forward to the heat. I love the fall weather. I love having a little bit of chill, but I can't complain. And the cigar is nice. And as you continue to look into SPX6900, because you care, you'll continue to kind of have this inclination, this this feeling, this sense like there's nothing like it out there. And dare I say, this is the only community that like really feels like a community. Whether it's directed at SPX or not, because you know, you can just chalk it up to the fact that it's just a guy in the woods shilling a coin, sure. But that's what early Bitcoiners were. Because if you look at Bitcoin on its own, it's like, is there anything special about that? No, it's the people. It's the people. Originally, they said it's peer-to-peer. It's for transaction and using it as a form of money. Transaction fees were too much, and it was just kind of clunky because the price would fluctuate too much. And then it kind of turned around to the story of store of value, digital real estate kind of thing. At the end of the day, the token itself didn't change. The narrative, the people. Somebody out there, whether you like it or not, whether the world is falling apart, with however many times these fearmongers will try to tell you that, someone will buy your Bitcoin. In the same way, someone will always buy your SPX. And that's the beauty of it, is that it's a people's game. I don't have many strengths, okay? But there's one thing that if I may, I'm pretty damn good at reading people. And I'm telling you, these guys are deadly serious when they say they want to flip the stock market. They're extremely serious about that. So whatever market cap, whatever price, whatever, generally speaking, I don't even check. Believe me. I'm forced you to believe me. It's just gonna keep going. The message is gonna keep growing. And not to make it even more like a doomer kind of thing, but everything's inflated. Wages aren't growing with it. And now you have this new pressure of AI. And then these so-called elites, right? Which is kind of, feels like a dirty word. They say stuff like there's gonna be universal high income. They had universal basic income, just putting the word high. Kind of feels like the 2008 time when they said whatever loan it was like they changed the name of the loan to make it sound more, you know, smart. Got a little bit in the eyes. It's gonna make an Asian joke, but I'll behave. And so yeah, the S&P 500, which like literally 7 companies dominate the whole thing. It's like, what is that? We know to some degree it's a scam. Or some would call it a Ponzi scheme. But when something is objectively undervalued, SPX6900, people say like, oh dude, isn't that risky? I think it's risky to buy the top of literally generational pumping into S&P 500. That to me is dangerous. They say nicotine helps you see better. I think it's true. I'm gonna take the label off. And we'll just enjoy a bit of a cigar. There's something really profound about seeing a vulnerable message, putting your hard-earned money into it, and trusting it, having faith in it, and watching it grow. Simple as that. Take everything I said, throw it in the bin. That's how simple it is to me. Didn't take much for me to see through this. And again, I'm not a crypto native. I couldn't tell you about the technicals of anything. But I do know one thing. It's a people's game. And if I feel like this, I know there are others that feel like this. And that's what I'm betting on. Ooh, kind of bitter. Kind of getting towards the end of it. But we'll keep going. I think J. Krishnamurti was deeply profound in the way that he understood thought as a tool. But he also saw how thought brings incredible suffering. But thought has to be used in a way where it has some effect on your environment, on things you want to do. And I think there's nothing better than SPX. Use your thought, look into it, be skeptical, and see if there's something that resonates with you. Like I said, the average Joe wants to gamble, wants to cheer for a team that does not give a fuck about them, wear a jersey and say, oh yeah, this team cares about them. They just want to drink. And I'm different because I'm in the woods smoking a cigar. I'm special. I'm very insecure, by the way. So if you say some shit about my earrings, I will take them and I'll chuck them into the creek. That's how much of a noob I am. I didn't know that you were not supposed to inhale these. Before I bought them, I thought you inhaled cigars for some reason, but you're not supposed to. Apparently it coats your mouth lining, and that's how the nicotine slowly gets in. Not as addictive as cigarettes, obviously. Which, by the way, I recently bought Marlboro Gold menthol and the American Spirit Gold mellow taste. It's different from the yellow, but the packaging kind of looks similar. And I've tried one of each. I quite like them. Ooh, talking about that, Marlboro 27s. I revisited them because in the beginning I was like, it's a little kind of harsh. It's like, it's got that soury taste that I didn't like at first. It's a bit of an acquired taste, but I'm actually really liking it now. Because when I would inhale a little bit through the nostril and just get that taste in, it's actually really nice. I actually had it this morning with the black coffee. Trying to be cool. Because, you know, when you drink black coffee, you have to tell everybody it's black. So yeah, just the average guy. Make noises into a mic. Record music. Whatever bit of cash I can get my hands on. SPX. That's what I buy. And then I chuck it into cold storage. Call it a day. which, by the way, many others are doing. And there are real, real smart people, not like me, that look into the data, can see and track every coin. Not every, but to extent they can track it, and they can see that the supply is shrinking. I've been in it almost, 2 years, right? And I've never heard the word short squeeze. I've never heard the word there's going to be a squeezing event or whatever. Even though every other coin loves to lead with that first. SPX leads with pure intention because it wants to draw in pure people. Because we're long-termists. We're not thinking of a quick gain. We're not thinking of robbing Peter to pay Paul sort of thing. And so only recently have I been hearing some stuff like that because, again, of a real data analyst looking into it. So those are all the little branches of SPX6900. I paid a pretty penny for these, so I'll smoke them. Even though that I know cigars kind of go up a lot. Some cigars are like $100 a stick. It's like, dude, what? I got 20 of these. And yeah, they're called Hampton Courts. And yeah, well, the actual name is JR Alternative Hampton Courts. You can look it up. It's a really nice taste. And the buzz, I would say, it's not really like a head buzz, although I do kind of feel it now. It's kind of more of like a mellow body kind of thing. You just, your forehead kind of loosens up a little, your straps kind of loosen up. That's all you really notice from it. But as far as taste, I don't have a palate, so to speak. I can just tell you, it tastes kind of bitter. That's about it. Can you imagine if I was like, yes, actually, I noticed a little bit of leather and spice and, whatever, tree bark, unicorn. I spoke way too soon about the menthol as well, by the way. I'm kind of liking it. When it's hot, you kind of like a little menthol. It's nice. So, but so far, my favorite menthol is the American Spirit, the green one, the light green. So good. Let's get another sip of coffee. How much of coffee? I just realized I forgot to take a thumbnail. I'll just pick whatever in this video. So yeah, SPX 6900. To flip the stock market is the mission. And there's a lot of tenets. Persisting forever. Long-termist thinking. Peaceful life over greed. Meaning, observe your greed. But realize that this is a very peaceful movement. And you can kind of think back on like all these protests and all these movements that have come and gone across all time. And it has not left real change. And so change, it's not somewhere out there. You can't just kind of go to the bar and be like, yeah, someone will figure that out for me. It's like, hey, look, this is the vehicle. And you can decide to get on this train because the train is going whether you like it or not. And it doesn't need me, but I see it for what it is, and I'm in. So. Beautiful cigar. smoking it like a roach. I really think my phone storage went out. Sorry about that. I'm still by the creek. But I was just kind of saying, like, you know, across time, like all these movements that have come and gone, protests and, you know, all the frustration, but the people that actually participated in it, they had nothing to show for it. And SPX6900 is rare in that not only is it something that can benefit you, but it's the adventure of a lifetime with people that are like you. And, you know, whether you see something in it or not, you can't deny that this is a sign of the times. And it doesn't have to be SPX. It can be something else that you believe in. But as far as I can see and as far as I can tell, this is the best one. So, hope you liked the video. Persist forever. Peace.